Welcome back to the worst show on the internet, aka the FloGrappling show. We're here backstage at Who's Number 128. Who's Number 1 just wrapped up. It's like Saturday at like 10 p.m. here in Costa Mesa, and we're bringing you guys a rapid reaction FloGrappling show special here behind the scenes to break down what we just saw at Who's Number 1. Obviously, it was a sick event, but I'm just going to open the floor right away. What stood out to you guys? What do you guys think was kind of the dopest shit we saw at Who's Number 1?
Man, super hype event. Still buzzing here. Just an hour ago, we just left the mats and everything like that. So, great event. Lot to talk about, but I don't know. Maybe we start with like Kit Dale versus Xande Ribeiro. Obviously Xande, a legend of the game. Kit Dale kind of making his resurgence here, coming back on the scene. But man, did Kit look good. Really put the pressure on Xande, had a bunch of takedowns, and really the takeaway for me from his jiu-jitsu was like that headquarter passing that he was doing.
It was crazy.
It was just on point.
Yeah, the way he would get into headquarters and then he would hit that little hip switch, kind of like we've seen Kynan do that. A lot of guys do that in headquarters, but like when Kit was doing it, it was just like, oh yeah, that's right. Kit Dale has some of the sickest, dopest, smoothest passing in the game, and like I don't know. I think going into that one, like all due respect to Kit, but it's like I would have probably picked that as like the biggest favorite in the matchup. 100%. That Xande had to come in as one of the biggest favorites. I don't know what the actual betting lines were or anything, but it was just like, Kit Dale's been out of action for so long. He obviously doesn't have like the wins, all the championships like Xande does, but for him to come out and get the win, man, that was crazy. And to look really good while doing it.
I think Xande might have been a minus 1,000 favorite.
Yeah.
It's I don't know betting odds, or I haven't looked into this, but it feels like that might be the biggest upset in Who's Number 1 history, and that's with full respect to Kit Dale. He's just facing a guy who has a very real argument for the greatest jiu-jitsu fighter of all time. And for him to go out there and his pressure looked incredible. He looked incredible. His wrestling looked really good. It's the best version of Kit Dale that I've ever seen between this and the CJI trials. He's 39 years old, but you wouldn't know it from the way that he's performing out there. It's really awesome to see, and I'm really excited to see what's next for him. I'm excited that there will be more from him. We don't know what yet, but he's hinting at having more opportunities coming up. I'm excited to see Xande some more. Obviously, this isn't the end of Xande by any means, but man, what an unbelievable and the way he got it done, passing his guard multiple times. Right, he's one of the few guys on earth who has ever passed the guard of Xande Ribeiro.
And, you think you got the points? Is this IBJ? You think you got the points?
It's tough for an Australian to score the points. It's gonna be, okay, but he got out. So
I think the closest he would get to the points is they might go on and then take some away. But.
No, a super impressive performance from him, and like a new contender in the Who's Number 1 universe here. He's a guy who can easily kind of start contending for that 205 belt ASAP, to be honest. And, as the match was like going, right, and Xande sat guard, I think, right away, and it's just like, okay, well, now Kid has to pass the best guard in the world. Like, I don't think that's going to happen. And then, boom, he started passing the best guard in the world, and I was like, dang.
There was a minute where Xande closed his guard, and at that point, I was like, oh, damn.
We're going for closed guard arm bars here. Like,
and then Kit went into, like, some Sao Paulo passing, dude. He kind of had the arm all the way up, and I was like, well, that seems very dangerous against Xande, but it kind of worked, and he opened up the guard with it. So, I don't know. Kit was crafty. Like, we were talking about this right afterwards. Like, there's something wild whenever a guy who just, like, doesn't seem like he takes anything seriously ever, just kind of making jokes the whole way through. Like, who knows what Kit Dale's really been doing. He looked great at the Giles trial and everything, but it's like, I don't know.
How serious is he really taking it? He's
obviously very serious.
Yeah, he's always joking around, so it's like you never know.
Yeah, he had a sponsor on his rashi, just a hot dog that said thick and juicy, so it's like, that's awesome.
Getting paid.
Yeah, so to be able to win in that way, like, definitely thought that one was sick. I guess the next one probably to talk about.
Who do you think Kit could fight next on Who's Number 1?
I think it opens up everything, to be honest. Like, all these guys could get a Kit match. Who do you think, Joe?
So I don't know if I want to see Kit fighting for the title and kind of going
not
with
just
that.
Yet. Yeah.
Maybe get him another legend out there. And I think there's a lot of legends out there that could make some really cool matchups. I'm going to throw out 2 names here real quick. I think a guy like Wagner, who is definitely a legend, has been around forever. I don't think he's ever faced Kit. I think those are 2 guys who are still competing at a super high level. To see that would be really cool. And man, Rafael Lovato Jr. is around, and after beating a guy like Xande, Rafael is
True.
obviously, you know, still an ADCC finalist.
He'll want to get that one
2024.
back for Xande.
He's going to want that back bad. You know what I mean? Maybe that's some kind of match we could run back in Oklahoma or something. Might be cool.
Yeah, to be honest, dude, I'd probably go like the other way. I like legends versus young guys. You know, like I think it'd be cool to like let's see the new generation now get in the mix with Kit. You could even go the other side of the Rafael.
Icaro? Or?
Yeah, Icaro.
Yeah,
Now you
perfect.
go the other side of Rafael. You can have him fight Felipe Costa. Let the
that's a
student
cool one.
kind of step up and see if you know
Yeah,
avenge,
true.
avenge
Super cool.
the master, you know. But even like I don't know, I guess Achilles Rocha is on my mind right now just because of his match with Lucas Lira. But honestly, both of those guys, you know, I don't know. I think
Marcin
it'd be-
Machulovic, Lucas Hulk,
Marcin's a
Lucas
good match.
Lira.
I think it would just be cool to like really get him in the division, you know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
not like gimmick stuff, just like no, dude, you're in. You want to be in the 205 division, you're in it now. Like we announced WNO 29 is going to have Roberto versus Ryan Aitken. I don't know, one of those guys, you know, if you want to make a push for the title, whatever. But I do think it now. It's like there's a new little bit of a landscape at 205 in the Who's Number One world.
Guy we could talk about at 205, obviously we just mentioned Hulk, but also, and this is kind of why I feel like I put Kid a little bit more in the legends. If we have a 205 contender from Australia, it's Declan Moody.
Declan Moody for sure.
True.
Yeah, so maybe that's the guy that, you know, I would more be like, okay, let's put the opportunity on him. And seeing both those guys on the same card, seeing in Kit's corner, Declan, who looked up to Kit so much, and now they're both competing at the highest level. I thought that was definitely like a very underspoken, cool moment of the night.
Yeah, for sure. So we can talk about that match, Declan Moody versus Felipe Andrew. You know, I don't know who I thought would get the victory going into it. I thought it was for sure like a very tough, like kind of heads up type of match. Obviously, you have Declan, unreal passing. Talked to Chris Wojcik before, and he described Declan passing as Joseph Chin's passing, but in a 205 body, which is
Yikes.
Yeah, an insane thought. But I guess he does, but he didn't even really get to show his passing, to be honest. Like I definitely thought it would go longer. You know, I thought maybe if there's a submission, it'd be kind of late after both guys have kind of started opening up and everything. But Declan had other plans, dude. He just jumped right out there, ended up getting the heel hook on Felipe Andrew. Incredible win for Declan.
Got to be
on
like
that one.
the submission of the night. You know, we had a couple good submissions, but that
Icaro ain't gonna like that.
Yeah, I know. But that was an incredible one. You also had the I forget his name there. The Ari Goldman
Salviara.
Salviara from
that
Gracie
was a
Baja.
great submission too. But definitely
Top 10 fastest submission in Who's Number One history.
Okay.
Number
Wow.
number 7 fastest, number 5 fastest leg lock.
Yeah, and that was a sick knee bar, so that was awesome. But you know, definitely Declan versus Felipe, a little bit more high profile. I think a lot of question marks on Felipe, and I think he made a mistake. He's the one who kind of initiated the leg entanglements.
100%.
And Declan was like, "Thank you, Lord," you know. And man, his Felipe's heel was like twisted all the way around. He waited, you know, late to tap on that one, and Declan had a full bite, and that's probably a dude you do not want like ripping on your legs.
No.
They were working on it in the back. They were working on that exact sequence in the back.
like
Really?
For
beforehand.
sure he saw that coming. Yeah, I think he saw the way that he drops into the K guard or something like that, and knew that the heel that would be an option, and they were working on that in the back beforehand.
Yeah, I heard Nicky Rod in the corner. He said something like, "We wanted this" or something like
Yep.
that. You know, like right whenever they started going into it. I'm sure Chris Wojcik was probably a big part of that strategy and everything. You know,
Him and
But-
Joseph Chan, 100%.
Yeah, but,
put those two nerds together, they'll figure it out.
Yeah, but incredible performance from Declan. You know, can't say this enough. We had him on the podcast recently. One of the nicest, coolest dudes in
Yeah,
jiu-jitsu.
watch
to
the
be honest.
podcast with Declan if you guys
Yeah.
haven't checked that one out. Such a fun dude.
For sure.
We all genuinely drank monsters before this event.
Yeah, he's
Not
got us
getting
on the
paid
We're on
monster.
the
for that.
monster kick
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, just doing it.
We've kicked our other bad habits and we're on to monster now, dude. Give me 15 monsters a day. But I think we should probably talk about the main event, next. Obviously, Mika Galvao, welterweight champion, went up against Jonnatas Gracie, the current middleweight champion at Who's Number One. And this one, it didn't open up to an insane level. There were definitely some scrambles, some crazy positional changes and stuff. Jonnatas had like a sweep in there. He had some good looks, but it was ultimately Mika who got the victory. What do you guys think of this match?
I thought it was definitely the Mika show and Mika doing the stuff that he does. He wasn't able to finish. I thought that Jonnatas definitely showed that he belonged. I feel like after that BJJ Stars Grand Prix, there was a lot of people kind of doubting him or kind of predicting like an easier night for Mika. And I feel like Jonnatas definitely reminded everybody, no, I'm one of the top guys in the world at any weight that I'll ever compete at. And I can take on anybody. And he did. And he competed really hard out there in a lot of those positions. I thought that Anaconda at the end was going to close the show, but he stayed tough and fought his way out. And Jonnatas continues to be a badass, but Mika's the man right now. And Mika's now a 2-division champion here at Who's Number One. kind of the face of Who's Number One. This is his first time main eventing, but he has the most wins in Who's Number One history. He's the man.
Only one loss on Who's Number One, right? To tie
yeah.
at WNO Championships back in 2021. So since September 21, he hasn't lost on Who's Number One.
This is his 14th Who's Number One fight, which means on average he is fighting every other Who's Number One.
That's wild.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah, that is definitely wild.
The Anaconda was for sure, I feel like, the most significant part of the match. It was just like you could see like Jonnatas' mouth open under it, and Mika was just trying to break his face in half, dude. That looked brutal, but Jonnatas is a tough son of a gun.
Yeah,
for sure.
I feel like Jonnatas' like guard retention really paid off. Really looked good for as good of a passer that we know Mika Galvao is, and he had some really legit good pass attempts, and even got mount at one point, I think there. But Jonnatas was able to recover every single time, so I think that just goes to show how good Jonnatas' guard is, and he kind of sat from the beginning, I believe, if I remember correctly, and was committed to playing guard.
He hit him with a foot sweep.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But then I think he then sat, if I'm not mistaken.
He started to concede that. Like,
it seemed like Jonnatas was committed to playing guard against Mika, who's one of the best passers in the world. So I definitely think that Jonnatas' guard looked really good, but obviously. The Mika show, like you guys said, and I thought we actually saw a lot of Mika's jiu-jitsu, to be honest. He was trying a lot of different positions. He even entered the legs even at one point in the very beginning of the match. And saw a lot of different passing from him and a couple submission attempts. And I just loved the way he was going to body lock all the time and everything like that. But I loved the way he was like getting that head and arm control and just like tripoding up and just kind of like juggling Jonnatas' legs.
Yeah, his legs were just circling constantly. It was crazy. He was going back and forth from each side with it. And I think that's I think we've talked about it before, but that's like one of the little secret sauces of Mika is like his leg dexterity is not human.
They're basically like hands.
Crazy. Yeah.
Like it's very BJ Penn style.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's so flexible with his legs. Like he can do knees to chest and just like pummel his legs on, over anything, it feels like. So, and again, credit to Jonnatas. I feel like he did a good job, but I do think he got mount from there for at least a second, and then Jonnatas was able to retain his guard. So, great performance by Mika. Obviously, Jonnatas one of the best in the world. Not the end for him, but I have a feeling we're going to see a lot more of Mika. Would love to see him versus Pedro Marinho, to be honest. I think it kind of opens up anybody at 170, 185, or 205, and I think anybody in any of those weight classes versus Mika would be sick.
What fights do you want to see from Mika more than any others?
I mean, I would be interested in the Pedro Marinho 205 belt. I will say I am on the record as the kind of like, I don't love the double champ stuff as much as like a
triple
ton of people.
champ though.
Well, it's like, it's cool to say that.
It's the safest.
But triples are safe. Triples are best. But I just think like, in my genuine opinion on the double champ, triple champ stuff in jiu-jitsu is like, it's even in MMA, to be honest, it's so hard to like compete that often and like always be defending belts. It's like hard for someone to defend a belt at all in jiu-jitsu, to be honest. A lot of times belts disappear into the abyss of the jiu-jitsu world and they just end up on an academy wall, never to be seen again. So it's like, when one person holds a bunch of those belts, it's really hard to be like actively running all of these divisions. So I do think it's an incredible thing. I know Mika wants to set records and stuff, and I like the Pedro Marinho match. I like that. I know Pedro's a dude who's always down for everything, always down for the toughest guys, the sickest dudes.
He got called out 6 times here tonight. I bet he just said yes 6 times.
He'll like line them up. I'll fight all of them. But 100%. It's like also I think Pedro Marinho like on paper is one of the most successful WNO champions we have. He's defended his belt, I think, more than anyone else has defended a belt on Who's Number One. So it's like, he is kind of like when you look at it that way, the biggest WNO champion. So it would be cool to see Mika fight Pedro and kind of see that match throw down. So I think that one would be sick. I don't know. I think Joseph Chin, I think, would be an incredible one. If Joseph got in the mix, they maybe fought for the 170 belt, I think would be really cool.
Or 185. I feel like Joseph is kind of a go-up guy at this point. Yeah. I know he loves food, so yeah.
He loves foods and backpacks and bags. He's always reviewing bags on his Instagram, which I'm a huge fan of that content. I love watching a good bag review. I myself am a bag guy.
Big bag guy.
Yeah, big bag guy.
Of course, the Tyne
Not the
Dolbra,
Craig Jones type of bag. I'm not into that bag.
The Tyne and Dolbra match is, of course, always out there, and I think that's one of the biggest matches in jiu-jitsu. Obviously, Tyne coming off his world championship win in the gi just a few weeks ago, and those guys have fought once before.
Yeah, one before.
Once before
at EUG, right?
EUG. So kind of a little bit
5-minute fight.
Yeah, a little bit of a weird rule set. Would love to see those guys for 15 minutes. I think they're at the top of the sport, at the top of their game. So that's really the match to make for sure. I think it's
Yeah.
Tynan versus Mika. Hopefully we can see that one.
And for anybody listening at home, there's a guy just banging on a steel beam with a hammer right outside of where we're recording. They're tearing down the set and everything. So my apologies if you guys are hearing that at home, but you're getting the real atmospheric experience here at Who's Number One. A lot of people, when the fans leave, the athletes leave, and it's just, the crew back here, they love banging on just metal beams with hammers, dude. That's just good old-fashioned blue-collar work, brother. So if you ain't banged on a beam with your hammer, then let me tell you, it's a good time. So you might be hearing some of that.
I don't want to say any names or anything, but there's a reason Slack Barrett isn't on this episode.
Yeah. No, just kidding. We found Slack finally. We heard rumors that he's behind the pyramid trying to rob juveniles of their medals, but we got him back. He's behind the camera right now, running it on the ones and twos back there. He's doing a great job.
Shout out Slack.
He's actually sitting underneath the camera.
Yeah.
So
Just beyond the wall here, we got the event space, and they're tearing everything down. So it just happened just about an hour ago.
yeah,
we're in the
but,
middle of it.
This is the blue collar division of Flow Sports right here. So we love a little blue collar work. So you can't be mad at that.
You know who I want to talk about? I want to
Paige
talk about
Yvette?
Paige Yvette.
Yeah. Paige looked great.
Please.
For sure. Paige Vanzant, that was a sick match. Obviously, Kwani Ramos. That's another one that, I thought would be an incredible match, and I felt like it delivered, So super sick. What did you think of it, Joe?
I 100% agree. I think that Paige is somebody who just brings a certain electricity with her to the mat. You know what I mean? Even winning, losing, whatever, there's so much energy, so much positivity, so much just energy coming with her that it's starting to become like appointment viewing. You know what I mean? And she's really breathed this shot of life into the women's heavyweight division that I'm really, really excited about. You know what I mean? I feel like there's a ton of great matchups we can make for her, but even if she were to fight somebody who, she's more the person moving the needle, I think that she's just become so exciting and so much fun to watch. I really enjoy it. What do you guys think?
Just a quick note on Paige Yvette. If there's anyone I wouldn't want to run into a back alley with from this card, it would probably be Paige Yvette, dude. Paige Yvette would beat me up, bro. Just watching
whoop your ass,
watching the
dude.
way Paige Yvette grapples, dude. She just beats people up. So, and she's also
Who knew Sloan would be the comforter in that relationship?
Yeah, dude,
he's the
shout out Sloan. I was talking to him. He just got back from Thailand. He went to Thailand, was there for 3 months. I think he said he did 3 Muay Thai fights in Thailand. Fought Thai dude, 2 Russian dudes. Ended up going 3-0. He said he got the stadium belt there in Thailand. So
let's go.
What a
Did
what
pull
a
guard
beast.
or anything like that?
No, I don't think so. I might have to ask him, but I'm sure some foot sweeps were in the mix, but
yeah.
that dude's a beast too. I wouldn't want to run into him, but maybe if I ran into him and Paige, I could convince him with my charisma and everything to hey, help me out. Paige gonna beat me up, but no, Paige is also one of the nicest people, so she would beat me up out of I don't know, respect or something, and then tell me I did a really good job getting beat up.
Be humble about it. Give you a hug afterwards.
Yeah, she's like, man, you did a great job getting beat up.
Maybe you guys would bond together
she's
after
like,
that.
You're great at getting beat up, Trey, which I am. Not a lot of people are great at that. I'm the best at getting beat up, bro. Sometimes I beat myself up, just teach myself a lesson. But
You deserve it.
Yeah.
So.
But that was a sick match.
Yeah, great match. She had a really great takedown right there in the very beginning. Put Kwani down. And I feel like she just found.
I missed it. Was it a double leg?
I think it was.
She goes for the double leg on everybody.
Yeah, she just blasted through, put Kwani down. And I think early on she realized that Kwani maybe had kind of a hole in her game with the leg locks. And she got close in the beginning, and she just stayed on the leg locks. And you could tell that Paige just was kind of one step ahead the whole time in the leg locks and the leg exchanges, and she just kept hunting it, and found the finish. Great heel hook finish, I believe. So. Huge win for her, and I feel like that opens up a lot of opportunities for her too in matches in the future.
Definitely.
It was the same finish. It was the same finish for her as it was Rana, I believe, wasn't it? Yeah, same position, same kind of heel hook, and they're like sisters basically, training together every day.
Yeah,
so
warming up in the back here,
both coaching each other and everything. Super sick. Yeah, obviously Rana did a great job on the undercard. She went up against Alyssa Luna and got the win there, got the finish. The undercard went 4 for 5 on submissions, right?
Yeah.
So it was Sal got the submission finish, Rana got the submission finish, Icaro, Pablo got Pablo Rosales out of Mica Galvão, another Melky kid getting onto the scene there, dude. He's got just a gang of kids just waiting to get their call up to just come out.
They
and
look
just
like beasts too. Talk about dudes you don't want to meet in an alley. I don't want to meet Pablo Rosales in an alley.
Dude, one time Mika told me, he was like, man, you put a bunch of kids from Manaus in a room and you put a bunch of kids from Sao Paulo in the room, the Manaus kids are the only ones walking out. And I was like, well, Mika, that seems unnecessary.
Let's hope it doesn't come to that.
Yeah, I would never be.
Sounds like a sick video though.
Just film the door on the outside and just who walks out. But yeah, so Some good action
Honestly,
there on the undercard.
that is kind of sick. Just waiting.
You just hear it, put a
See
mic
who
in there.
comes out.
But yeah, so obviously the undercard is all available for free on the YouTube. So go check out some of those matches if you guys want to see some submissions. Who else on the main card? Kyle Chambers and Victor Silverio. That was definitely more of like, a tactical match. Neither guy was able to fully get into their game and kind of showcase everything, but Kyle ended up getting the win.
Kyle had a deep submission attempt right at the very end, probably.
I feel like that really kinda did
that
it,
solidified because Victor won the two first judges' favors, and he was putting a lot of good pressure, and I think. You think he got a takedown?
No, I think it might have been 1-1 on the favors.
Was it 1-1?
Yeah.
Okay, my bad.
Because they didn't say it in the venue, but he did get it
That's
on
right.
the board.
To me, this honestly was as 50-50 a fight as you could have. And I was talking to Ricardo was right there, and he was saying too, like, man, this could go either way. This is so 50-50. And that's how the match felt. Both guys were really doing their best to open up. Everything was just, they're so evenly matched. And it really was a sick fight for that. You know what I mean?
Two great guys in jiu-jitsu as well. Two very approachable, just fun dudes. So hate to see anybody lose, but super happy for Kyle as well. He's been trying to get a big win on the Who's Number One stage for a while, so this definitely opens that up for him and his future.
Not the end for Victor either. Yeah, it was cool to see that, just because I feel like sometimes, like, 10th Planet shows up to every single event. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anytime that those guys get, a nice big win, a marquee win that they can hang their hat on. They work so hard; they deserve that. So to see that anytime is really cool.
For sure. What was there another main
Lucas
card?
Hulk.
Yeah, Hulk Barbosa versus Dory Allen. This is the one, where this one replaced Luke Griffith versus Philippe Pena. Obviously, Philippe had to pull out due to injury. That one's been postponed to a later Who's Number One, so hopefully we're still going to get to see that. It's still supposed to be on and everything for the heavyweight championship, but Hulk and Dory stepped in. Two dudes you can trust. You call their name, you call their number, and they answer, and they're always down.
I love Dory's energy, to be honest.
Sure,
really intense, just locked in energy out there.
I loved one of my favorite moments of the night, win or lose. You know what I mean? But him coming out and like stepping onto the mat. This guy's been doing jiu-jitsu
He was just kind of looking over the crowd and everything like that, just taking it all in.
Super cool.
I did notice that moment. That was a great moment.
Yeah, for sure. So that one, it was standing for quite a while, right? And then I don't remember how it went to the ground. Maybe Hulk finally.
Hulk got like a front headlock, I think, and pulled him down, spun to the back. I think is what it was.
Yeah, but yeah, super sick that both those guys were able to step up.
Pretty dominant performance from Lucas.
Yeah,
from there, he was able to get the back and really hold the back for close to 10 minutes probably. And then Dory got out and tried to make it a fight for sure. He kept going.
Didn't stop till the whistle.
Shout out to Dory. The clock was still going, so he was still coming forward. But overall, probably a pretty dominant win for Lucas. But I know they have fought in the past, so it seems like Dory is definitely getting better, closing that gap, and he'll be at the top in the future. I think.
Dory's a guy who just like is definitely going to pick up a crazy upset at one point. You know what I mean? And we're going to be right there for it, and I can't wait for that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's a dude who I feel like could always make waves at like an ADCC trials or something. Could like end up in some crazy matches. Yeah, I mean, he already has ended up in some crazy matches at trials. I think he had an insane match against Andrew Tackett at one of the North American trials.
It was like day 1 or day 2 first match.
Yeah. So obviously both those dudes super game, but that's all the main card matches, right?
It is. If I can real quick, I'm just really excited that it seems like we have Hulk back. Hulk spent a lot of time like kind of focusing on MMA. Then he hurt his shoulder.
I actually didn't know he had shoulder surgery, to be honest.
Yeah, he popped it a month before CJI. Really bad, and still made the semifinals there. Of like, people call it the best bracket of all time. So pretty crazy to do that. Submitted Joseph Chen,
great submission,
which is crazy. He looked incredible. So for him to be back full time in grappling, wanted to invest full time in grappling. He's back training at Atos full time, making it happen with the hunger. He says he's got the hunger of like a 20-year-old Lucas trying to come out here and prove it one more time. I think that's incredible for grappling.
Dude, I remember 2015, Lucas had just kind of switched over to Atos and just come to the Atos gym, and I interviewed him back then, 2015, and he like didn't speak barely any English, so it's like just crazy to see the journey that he's been on, and obviously he's pro at speaking English now and everything like that, and obviously he's gone on to accomplish so many things in the sport. So I was just thinking about that, watching him doing the interview, remembering that the interview that I did with him at Atos. He had just moved to America. He was a brown belt. I'm pretty sure he was a brown belt still. Maybe he's a black belt, but was trying to make it all happen, and obviously 10 years later he's made it happen. So crazy.
It's incredible, dude. At the press conference, I did the press conference this time, and it was Dory and Luke. And right afterwards, Luke was like, Lucas Barbosa was like, man, I thought I was going to have to punch this guy. And I was like, Little old Trey? Yeah, what do you mean, little old Trey? You gonna punch me? But
I'm just
he
asking
was
questions.
making a
I'm
joke
just
about getting
funning.
excited. Yeah, I was shaking in my boots though, dude. But
You cleared the air though.
Ricardo told me he was talking about Dory about making it exciting, like as a joke. But boy, oh boy, was I scared. All right, I thought I was in the dang alley with Paige Vanzant again. I was like, I wasn't gonna beat me up, dude.
Again? God damn it.
Yeah, but yeah, so obviously it was a sick card overall. We already announced the next WNO 29. We're not stopping, dude. We got our foot all the way against the floor on the pedal, the gas. We got the turbo engines, dude. We got 3 Honda Civics with spoon engines, and we just put in an order at Harry's for the turbos, bro. So things are different now. Shout out Fast and Furious. But WNO 29 is going to be going down July 25th in Miami, Florida. We're going to Miami, baby. I got a Sunga on the way already. I'm going to show up in style. I got Pit Viper shades. I've been doing all kinds of crazy stuff on that one. We already announced Ryan Aitken versus Roberto Jimenez is going down on that one. But you guys got any last closing thoughts before we get out of here? Just a quick hitter one?
Last closing thoughts. Happy Father's Day to all the jiu-jitsu dads out there and everything. I don't know when this is going to go up, but probably Father's Day is tomorrow or maybe today you're watching it. So shout out to all the fathers celebrating and all the jiu-jitsu dads for putting their kids in jiu-jitsu early and everything like that. Yeah. Shout out, you guys. Make it go round.
Yeah, and I'm not a dad, but some call me the dad of the kids class. I ain't never met a kids class that could beat me, dude. You move up to juvenile and it's a different story, but no, I'm just kidding. But thank you all for watching the FloGrappling show. Hope you enjoyed Who's Number One. All the matches will be available on FloGrappling. They'll be out on the YouTube soon. I know you guys love matches on the YouTube, so they're coming. But yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you all in the next episode.